Imagine a single, massive flash in deep space. One event, millions of miles away, but it spawned two completely different, totally parallel realities right here on Earth. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a highly specific astronomical event from May 2026, and we're going to look at how this one moment was analyzed and interpreted by two vastly different groups of people. So what actually happens when the sun fires a massive burst of energy directly at us? It's a question that exposes a pretty stark vulnerability in our ultra-connected lives. I mean, a grid outage or a total GPS failure doesn't just mean your Wi-Fi goes down for a few hours. It paralyzes global shipping, disrupts emergency services, and brings financial markets to a grinding halt. But as we're about to see, the answer to what really happens when that solar energy hits our atmosphere, well, that depends entirely on who you ask. To map this all out, we're going to hit 5 key areas today. First up, the May 2026 solar flare itself. Then we'll look at the scientific reality, followed by the alternative narrative. After that, we'll dive into the quantum financial reset. And finally, we'll compare these two views of one single event. All right, part 1, the May 2026 solar flare and the indisputable facts of May 10th. Let's start with the hard data. According to solar monitors, at exactly 1339 UTC, an intense, bright burst of energy, specifically a moderately strong M5.7 flare, erupted right near the sun's east limb. This massive release originated from a very specific sunspot, officially cataloged as active region 4436. 650 kilometers per second. Just let that sink in for a second. That staggering velocity was the estimated speed of the massive coronal mass ejection, or CME, that got launched into the void of space right after the flare. We're talking about a colossal wave of plasma and magnetic field violently expelled straight from the sun's corona. Moving to part 2, the scientific reality and the hidden vulnerabilities of our modern infrastructure. When mainstream science looks at a deep space event like this, the alarms definitely start ringing. A 2026 technical report from the UK outlines a chaotic, worst-case scenario for the tech we literally rely on every single day. We're talking about extra electric currents surging through the ground in violently tripping regional power grids, satellites experiencing so much atmospheric drag that they could actually burn up in orbit. Add in high-frequency radio blackouts crippling global navigation, and even hazardous radiation directly threatening aircrews on high-latitude flights. It's a mess. And the immediate scientific concern from that specific May 10th event? It was a 10-centimeter radio burst peaking at 550 solar flux units. Now, in astrophysics terms, that basically means the sun's electromagnetic interference is screaming so loud it drowns out our own radio signals. This causes temporary but highly dangerous disruptions to radar, GPS, and satellite comms. To put the stakes in perspective here, a similar extreme storm back in May of 2024 caused a staggering $500 million loss to the US agricultural sector alone, literally just from tractors losing their satellite navigation. But as we pivot away from astrophysics, we find alternative online communities interpreting this exact same solar flare through a vastly different and honestly a far more urgent lens. Online publications tracking what they refer to as the Restored Republic sent out a sweeping alert with a completely different message. It simply read, "This is not weather, this is timing." Which brings us to part 3, the alternative narrative, a cosmic signal for global transformation. In this worldview, the solar flare wasn't some random weather phenomenon at all. It was viewed as a deliberate cosmic signal. The evidence they point to? The numerology of the sunspot itself. Remember active region 4436? Well, 4 plus 4 plus 3 plus 6 equals exactly 17. And in these communities, 17 is the numerical equivalent of the letter Q. To these followers, the sun itself wasn't just erupting, it was sending a clear, undeniable, mathematical message. Central to this alternative belief is the imminent activation of the Emergency Broadcast System, or the EBS. While scientists were warning about accidental radio blackouts caused by solar radiation, this narrative claimed the blackout was entirely intentional, a necessary operational cover. The idea was that during this planned period of darkness, the EBS was allegedly set to go live across the Starlink satellite network at a frequency of 37.5 gigahertz. This would override all traditional media broadcasts to expose a global shadow cabal. Part 4, the quantum financial reset and the fall of the fiat dollar. Now, a highly specific multi-day timeline started circulating online, mapping out this covert operation. It starts on May 10th with the solar flare. Then, by May 13th, as communications are disrupted, the timeline claims former President Trump secretly boards a plane to Beijing. Moving right along to May 14th, something called Project Sandman is set to kick off, triggering the sudden collapse of major legacy banks, places like Bank of America and JP Morgan. And finally, on May 15th, the Federal Reserve Chair purportedly resigns as the old fiat dollar completely dies. So what's the end game here? Well, the ultimate goal described in these updates is the implementation of the Quantum Financial System, or QFS. This is detailed as a gold-backed, completely hack-proof network meant to totally replace the privately owned Federal Reserve. The central claim is that every single sovereign citizen actually already has a quantum wallet, and it's preloaded with what they call birthright value. Basically, money calculated from a lifetime of tax contributions and interest that was allegedly siphoned away since 1971. Observers in these communities were literally bracing for sweeping, utopian societal changes during this blackout window. The claim started with the total elimination of the Federal Reserve debt system and income tax, swapping it out for just a consumption tax. It also included reports that the U.S. gold stored at Fort Knox was confirmed impure, which is why they needed this immediate transition to biometric quantum wallets. And perhaps most astonishingly, they anticipated the rollout of long-suppressed medbed technology. These are described as quantum AI chambers powered by Tesla free energy, supposedly capable of regenerating limbs and instantly curing diseases. And that brings us to our final section, Part 5, Two Views of One Event, Astrophysics versus the Restored Republic. When you lay it all out side by side, it perfectly captures how a single wave of deep space plasma can strike Earth and trigger two completely parallel realities. To the scientists, it's an M5.7 flare causing temporary radio frequency noise and dangerous atmospheric drag. It's a massive headache for infrastructure, sure, but ultimately it's just indifferent physics doing its thing. But to an entire alternative community, it's a mathematically coded signal, a 17, a Q. It's the initiation of a massive military operation, a complete financial reset, and the dawn of medical miracles. In our modern, hyper-connected world, reality is so often shaped entirely by the lens through which we view the incoming data. As we look up at the vast, mysterious sky, it leaves us with a pretty provocative question. Are we seeing indifferent physics or a precisely timed cosmic signal? And honestly, what else out there is being interpreted in ways we can scarcely even imagine? Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Keep looking up and stay curious.